listening to Executive Leaders Radio, broadcast from the Philadelphia law office of Obermeyer, the law firm. And we have a great lineup for guests for you on our show today. Matthew, will you please give us the run-through?
We sure do have a great show coming today. First, we're starting off with Brian Dainis, the founder and CEO of Curotec. Then we have Melissa Sherman, CEO of Mobilize Systems. John Maloney, managing partner of Wouch Maloney & Company, and wrapping up with John Campbell, the president of Francis Kaufman Architects.
I'd like to thank my co-host Shannon Lane, Newmark Knight Frank, and Matthew Shapiro Obermeyer for giving me a hand structuring the questions. And let's get to know Brian Dainis, founder and CEO of Curotec. Brian, what is Curotec? What are you guys doing?
Thanks, Herb. So we're a IT consulting company. We have two main areas that we focus, IT technical staffing and custom software and e-commerce development.
And tell me, where you're from originally and how many brothers and sisters?
Grew up in Exton, one younger brother.
And what was going on with mom and dad when you were a kid?
So my parents were divorced when I was around the age of 3, grew up with a single mom, and that's about the short of it.
So you grew up with a single mom, and tell me a little bit what was going on with you 8 to 14 years old with this electronics.
Yeah, so, I loved figuring stuff out at that age, taking apart TVs, computers, digital audio equipment, anything I could get my hands on.
And didn't you tell us earlier in the green room that you were selling some stuff on through the web? What was that about?
Yeah, absolutely. So when eBay hit the scene there, I took advantage, and a lot of the stuff that, speakers I was building, computers I was building, and anything that.
What do you mean you were building speakers? What are you talking about?
Yeah, so bookshelf speakers, studio monitor speakers. I would build the cabinets, construct the crossovers, and put together the drivers.
So when you say you were building so you were doing thorough. You were figuring out what speakers to put in the speakers. You were building the cabinets, and you were also figuring out the electronics, what capacitors and what resistors and inductors to put into the crossover. You were figuring out the whole system, weren't you?
Yep.
And you figured out how to make money taking all the different elements and tuning them all together. That's pretty creative.
It was a lot of fun as well.
What does figuring out the complete system have to do with what you're doing nowadays?
Well, you could liken it to an IT system in a business where there's a lot of moving parts. There's multiple things that need to be accounted for, and
you're able to look at the complete picture.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood that. And let's see, Shannon, why don't you take them from here?
Brian, in the green room, you mentioned you were into music and in a band. What instrument did you play?
I've played a bunch. Vocals has always been my main focus, but I've done guitar, bass, keyboard, drums.
And did you take lessons to learn all of those?
For guitar, I did it for a little while.
What about the other instruments you just mentioned?
Self-taught. I've had a ton of vocal coaches over the years, but that came later in life after 14.
Self-taught, what do you mean?
Just picked it up and dove in.
And what did teaching yourself to play these instruments teach you in the long run that you still carry with you today?
I think being able to figure stuff out that you don't know the answer to, or even the rhythm or the feel of something, that is critical in a senior leadership position for a company, because you're going to be faced with challenges that you haven't seen before, at every stage of your company.
What are you talking about, the rhythm or the feel? That sounds like touchy-feely kinds of stuff.
Well, in a company, you have things that are quantifiable, but you have a lot of things that are qualitative as well. Things like your culture of your people, the personalities in a room, whether it's a sales situation or a delivery situation, and that's there's a rhythm.
All right, Matthew.
So you told us growing up you also played some hockey, right?
Yeah, I did.
So what position did you play?
Left wing and center.
And what's the role of a left wing and a center?
Score goals.
What's the key to scoring goals? How do you score goals?
Confidence, a little bit of strategy, a little bit of planning, but just confidence and execution in the moment.
And what's that got to do with what you're doing today?
It's in a fast-paced environment where we work in the IT world. It's things are changing so quickly. So being able to keep up with trends, make quick decisions, adapt to change, being confident through that, it's critical. Do
you have a most memorable game from your hockey career?
I did. I'll toot my own horn a little bit. So we had a tournament where we lost, I think it was like 5 or 6 to nothing with this first team. We went and beat every other team, and it was us against that first team in the final game. Winner takes the tournament, and we won 4-3, and I scored a hat trick in that game.
How'd that make you feel?
It was amazing.
Was your mom there watching?
She was, yeah.
Did your mom make it to all your games?
Yeah. She made it to all of them.
Single divorced mom made it to games. Probably a lot of practices
She
too,
did,
right?
Yeah, she'll tell you it was a full-time hockey mom job.
How did that make you feel having your mom there all the time?
Really supported.
And what does that have to do? What did you learn from that you bring with you to your job today?
Well, I think one of our core values is that our employees are critical. I think being able to help our team feel supported and feel that we have their back is it's what makes them get up every day and do what they do.
Let me ask you, I want to change topics totally on you here. You just said you were selling stuff on eBay. That had to be like the beginning of eBay, right?
It was early, yeah.
How did you figure, were you buying first or selling first?
Selling.
And what made you figure out you could sell on eBay? How did you figure that out?
So, funny story actually, I was too young to have a bank account or a PayPal account back then, so I actually set up an account in my name with my mom's social security number. She somehow decided to let me do that. But I just kind of, figured it out, set it up, and just got started doing it.
So you had to develop the model to figure out how to take the pictures and do the descriptions, right? Because there weren't templates yet.
Got
or any
one of
of
those
that.
really old, beat up digital cameras that, took grainy pictures. You could hardly tell what you were taking a picture of.
What's all that stuff have to do with what you're doing nowadays?
It was exciting for me back then. It was exciting to see that I could take something, put it out there, and then see money come in the door. And I would say that excitement and seeing that you can make your own path, you can do your own thing, you can put something together that has value, put it out in the world, and see value come back in return. That's part of, I think, what motivated me to get into what I do today.
Shannon, what else you thinking?
So I'm just curious, you grew up with your mom, a single mom, and your brother. Was there a male influence that had an impact on your life?
There was always, several. I had an electronics teacher that Mr. McAdams, who was a huge influence on me. I had a neighbor that, helped get me into some of this, electronics and speaker stuff. Hockey coaches over the years. So there's been a number. It sounds like you really appreciate guidance and feedback from people. Sure. Yeah, it was when I was younger, soaking up any knowledge I could was, anytime I had somebody that was willing to teach me their technical chops, I would soak it up. And how does that relate to the way you're leading your team today? It's, again, back to our core values. One of our core values is experts in our craft. So always soaking up as much knowledge as we can, being able to understand, complicated changing systems, being able to understand how that impacts real world business, applying these technical systems to business impact. That's, to me, the team, myself and our entire team need to be able to soak up knowledge on a consistent basis and then apply that knowledge in a practical sense. So if you're so good at soaking up knowledge and always liked it so much, I assume school was a breeze for you, right? I didn't always do the best in school. And you told us earlier that the school made an adjustment to you to help you like school. What'd they do? Yeah, so I did in high school I did the 4 core classes, whatever, English, math, history, whatever they were. And then what else? And then I had 4 study halls they gave me that I just, they just gave me a passing grade on those 4 study halls. And my job was I had an email inbox, and teachers would send technical issues to the email inbox. So I'd go around, push around a cart, pick up VCRs and overhead projectors and computers, and then take them back to the electronics lab and fix them, and then go back and ship them back to the classroom. And it wasn't just you, was it? No, I had a few helpers working with me as well. So how many helpers did you have? On and off. I did this from middle of 9th grade through senior year. So on and off, I don't know, I probably had a handful, 5 or 6 over the years. So it sounds like you were already running your business back when you were in school. Something like that. I wish I got paid for it. But
yeah, it sounded, you were organizing.
I got paid in good grades.
you were organizing the other kids. You had to get their cooperation. You were handling the help desk. It sounds like the teachers wouldn't have continued to ask you questions unless you were responsible. It really does sound like you were running a business, except there was no revenue coming in. Do you see a parallel between that and what you're doing nowadays?
I've thought about it before. It absolutely is. I would say an early operation that could be looked at as, similar to a business.
Yeah, it probably gave you comfort that you could do it. What's the website address of this organization known as Curotec?
Curotec, it's CUROTEC.com.
We've been speaking with Brian Dainis, founder and CEO of Curotec, here on Executive Leaders Radio. We'll be back in a moment right after this business spotlight.